You may have been seeing pictures circulating around, sightings of that black bear in East Texas. What started as a single sighting quickly turned into multiple reports over the following days. KLTV 7's April Peardon is following this specific bear's tracks.
This was the first video we received.
A sighting of a black bear in East Texas.
Of course, is it inspecting the feeder, seeing if there's anything in there.
Is not the first time, and is not just any random bear. This one has been coming back and has kind of made East Texas its home.
We suspect this is the same male we've been tracking since July of last year.
Ruben Gay, the district wildlife biologist with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, has been following this bear's tracks since the beginning.
It's exciting to have it here. You know, every day it's like you're just waiting on that call, you know, whether a new encounter, new observation, so we can get, you know, hopefully get some more data on it.
Last year, there was a total of 55 sightings of just this one bear.
December 15th, the start of Hanukkah, was when we had our last photo of the bear.
Before reports of sightings this month, Ruben says they had not had any photos or confirmed encounters of the bear since January 6th.
Some game wardens and sheriffs came across some fresh bear tracks.
Since then, this bear has now appeared 4 times this month alone. It first showed up south of the Salem area along McCant Creek on April 2nd. Then a few days later, on April 6th, it was spotted again west of Rusk near Highway 294 and the Neches River. After that, more photos came in on April 11th and April 13th from the same area near Ione Creek in southeast Anderson County.
Right now, we suspect that it's roughly probably about 200 pounds, and it should reach adulthood this summer.
With summer approaching soon, the bear might decide to leave.
It could go back to where there's other bear populations in Louisiana, Arkansas, or eastern Oklahoma.
Or maybe even stay.
It could stay here, you know, where it's found its new home, it seems.
April Peardon, KLTV 7 News.
He says if you see a black bear, report it. We've got the number. We'll put it there on your screen so you can write it down. It's a violation of federal and state law to kill or hurt an American black bear, by the way. Penalties can include up to $12,000 fines and possibly jail time.